right now, as he always does at this time on Friday when we're lucky. Fox News Channel's host a special report with Bret Baier, the one and only Bret Baier. Hey, Bret.
We're lucky to have him because, it's good to have Bret on always, but I'm not so sure he's so lucky because he's like the last guest of the week.
So you save up your best.
He's the anchor.
Well,
absolutely.
But we're sort of goofy by this point in the week.
That's all right.
Yeah.
I could use a little goofy in my life.
That's true. We are. Hey, Bret. Well, first of all, we just got some new job numbers there, and as Bill Thompson reported, they're pretty much flat. Does that make a difference for the administration as they make a push for income inequality?
Well, I think there is a sense out there, and I'm just going anecdotally talking to business people around the country that things are starting to get back on track, but a little bit slower than people would like. I think the winter blues and the weather didn't really work out well for a lot of companies. But this is 192,000 jobs, shy of the 200,000 prediction, and it keeps the unemployment rate steady at 6.7%. I think people were thinking it was going to tick down. It's to 6.6%. There are still, 10.5 million people who are not employed, and there are still a lot of questions about long-term viability, and I think the biggest question is what the Fed does and whether they start turning off the spigot of quantitative easing and what that means for the market.
All right, the Benghazi hearing. Our friends at Fox News have always covered the Benghazi issue from day one. You continue to do so. There was a big hearing this week, not covered in a lot of other places, but I know you guys were on it, in which we learned more about the Benghazi situation from the Deputy Director of the CIA. What's your sense of his testimony?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm not sure who else covered it.
Yeah. We did.
Yeah, you did, and I don't even think C-SPAN had the hearing on, and I know our competitors did not. Listen, we cover it not because it's Benghazi, not because people are, interested in it, or we see some uptick in ratings or something. We cover it because I think there's still news and questions that remain. This testimony by Mike Morrell spurred even more questions. I mean, he essentially stepped away from the video, saying the CIA didn't have any input in the video, that was not their deal, before Susan Rice used that on the talk shows that Sunday after the attack. He also said that he relied on analysts in Langley, thousands and thousands of miles away from Benghazi, and the CIA station chief on the ground, and the people who were reporting, eyewitnesses up through the chain, that there was no protest. It's just an interesting set of events. And then there were a lot of Republican lawmakers who said it's tough to hear this testimony and then divorce it of any political aspects. And Morrell was insisting that it wasn't. It was bureaucratic mess-up.
Bret, we didn't get to talk to you last week. We were stuck with James Rosen instead. Don't even get me started on him. But what I really want to ask you about the administration announcing a revision and really a halt to the NSA program that they had been collecting, cell phone data. They're going to push that back onto the phone companies now and have different methods for obtaining a warrant to search through that information. I understand you're going to be having a special later this month specifically on the NSA.
Yeah. We'll have an hour special. You remember I did that interview with General Alexander, the now retired director of the NSA, and we ran a series of pieces. But we've now put together an hour with critics and supporters and really looking into the NSA. What the administration has done is not really pulled the trigger on stopping this program. They've actually the metadata collection, this is the phone numbers for everybody, they've actually asked for a little bit of extension, and then they've put the ball in Congress's court to have a proposal to stop it. It's interesting that, on a lot of things that the administration moves lightning fast on executive orders and pulling the trigger on things, but when it comes to these decisions, it becomes a congressional decision, much like the Syria decision, whether we were going to get in to Syria or play a role bombing certain targets.
Well, it's especially ironic in this case, Bret Baier, because the administration unilaterally set up this policy. Congress didn't set this up. They merely passed the Patriot Act, and then the administration interpreted the Patriot Act to say that they could do this. Now he's waiting for congressional authority.
Exactly. So it's just a little ironic. But I do think that there was a lot of concern about the collection of all of these numbers and what it's used for. I do think also that Alexander made a compelling case about, people would say, why didn't you connect the dots if some big terrorist attack happens? So we balanced that all out in an hour that will air the last weekend of April.
All right, so an announcement this week from the Obama administration that, first of all, they said, well, we need to get 7 million people sign up for Obamacare to make it successful. Then when it looked like they weren't going to get 7 million, they said, but, really, that's not all that important. And then they got 7 million, they say, and they made a big announcement and did a victory lap about it. But I know, because I watched the Fox All-Stars, I know that there are some who believe that's an absolute clown number, bro.
Yeah. Charles Krauthammer is among them. I don't know if he quoted Bryce Harper or not, but
I wouldn't put it past him.
I wouldn't put it past him. He's a big Nationals fan. I think, I do also think it's interesting that when all the talk was about how many people were losing their insurance and being dropped from their current insurance, it was roughly 6.2 million. The word from the podium was that that's just a sliver of the population. It's just 5% of the population. But 7 million suddenly is, the balloons are dropping from the Rose Garden. Yeah. I think, it was a big week for the administration just to hit that number after that horrible rollout. I mean, just to get there was a big success, and Democrats rightfully were touting it. But I think we have a long way to go to see if that translates into anything positive for the law, especially for red state Democrats who are pretty vulnerable.
All right. We just reported that in Maryland, 60,000 people signed up. 73,000 lost their insurance. They're in the hole in the state of Maryland. Unbelievable. Yeah. Bret Baier, thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Have a good